When Hurricane Harvey hit Houston, we all knew that it was going to impact this city broadly, including St. Stephen's community. Whether you worked, worshiped, taught, or studied here, we were all affected. And we knew as a community that we wanted to reach out and care for our own and for the wider city. These are some of the stories and ways in which we've cared.
My name is Sylvia. I'm the administrative assistant for the church. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about Hurricane Harvey. All I can think of is devastation. It was one thing to see the water rising, and my kids and I decided, let's pick up what we can and get out now. And at that time, the water was coming up on the driveway. So I fished my way out of the neighborhood, made it to my daughter's house, kept watching the news, and then as things began to progress, the weather was getting worse, and then phone calls like, look, your neighborhood is on TV. And it was, oh my God, because there was so much water, it was unrecognizable. And then I was seeing my neighbors being dropped off at the Beltway. Around about that time, Lisa called. So I shared with her that that was my neighborhood that they were currently showing. And she just said, we're going to take care of you. It'll be okay. We'll take care of you. And just going in the neighborhood, there was a stench, and then you could see that things were moved around, garages torn up, cars all lopsided, fences down. And when I got to my house, it was devastating because we lost everything. All we had, and I told the kids, pack a couple days' clothing. We had one pair of shoes and a couple days' clothing. And then I got a call from Scott, and he said, Sylvia, do you need help? What can we do? And I said, I lost everything. People began to show up to help me clear things out, pull wet carpet, get rid of things. We had nothing. And St. Stephen was there for me. And from that moment, they rallied around. It was like family coming to help.
So August 25th, it's a day that I don't think I will ever forget. We were at home and we were told that we were in the red zone and that we needed to evacuate because our house had a chance of getting flooded. So we gathered downstairs as a family. We grabbed our papers, our important documents, not very much, and we kneel and we said a prayer. I remember that Dylan said the prayer, and in his prayer he said a blessing to the house and that we will be okay, and then we left. So we decided to go back the third day, and when we opened the door of the house, we were walking in water. There was water everywhere. Our piano, our furniture, all that stuff. And we have damage to our house, but you know, there were houses that were under water. So we just kind of thought what we had, it's really not a big deal. We look at each other and we say, okay, we can stay here and cry, or we can go help people. We were divided into three groups. Group one, which was all the ladies, we will come in and gently ask the people, do you want this? And if they say no, we will throw it away for them. I mean, we were throwing their pictures, their clothes, their dishes. Everything in the houses was damaged, so everything needed to be thrown away. And we were doing 6 or 7 houses a day. We did that for 2 months. And as a family, I think that that's something that we will always treasure. That when something happens to you, somebody can have it worse than you. And it was a great lesson for my kids to join up the community and help people. I felt that it was one of the experiences that I will always cherish in my heart, to be able to go help others. It made me love Houston. I felt like we came together as a community in a way that it didn't matter if we were Jewish, Muslims, Mormons, Catholics. We just came together and we helped one another. And that was something that I just loved. I remember coming back to St. Stephen's, and because I thought inside me, oh my gosh, other people had all their belongings are gone, and because I thought we're okay. But I realized that I was sad in so many ways that I cannot even explain why. And all of a sudden I'm crying. I went to collect the mail, and there was an envelope with my name on it. And it was from the church and from the members. And I feel so loved. I feel so a part of a family. I feel like St. Stephen's is not just my job, but it's my family as well.
And how did it directly affect your family?
It destroyed our house. We lost both our cars and our house. That night, we were calling 911 all Saturday night, and they were overwhelmed and couldn't answer. It was busy. We spent a lot of time the next day listening for motors, listening for helicopters flying over, and listening for the motors on boats trying to go out and catch a ride. So we were signaling to the helicopters. I was waving at the helicopters, trying to get them to realize that there were people in this house that needed rescuing. And eventually it started getting dark, and I was getting a little scared I was going to have to spend another night in that house. So I saw a truck a couple of blocks down the street and started hollering at that truck, and it turned out to be a fireman. So he called for a big truck, and they got it as close as they could, a big fire truck. And they waited down, and they picked up my dogs, and they carried them to that truck, and all but carried us. And they took us to the fire department, and we waited there until the National Guard could come and take us. So I'm very, very grateful to the fire department and the National Guard as well. There was one thing that stuck in my mind. There was one thing that it's how fast things can change. It's so incredibly fast. One moment we were in our house preparing to be flooded in, and the next moment we had no house, no transportation, no way to get ourselves out of a lake, no way to take care of our dogs, no place to go. And it happened overnight, absolutely overnight. That's how fast. And I will never forget that. We were basically homeless for a while. We were going from residence to residence. People were trying to help us out. And then Ryan and Lisa Hunt reached out to me, and I explained to them our situation and that what we were going to need was a place to live. And the church was wonderful. They set up an apartment that they weren't even renting. They got a refrigerator and put it in there and set it up so that we could have a place to be. They found us a table and chairs. They supplied us with some funds and basically let us stay there rent-free for a couple of months until we could get back on our feet. So I cannot tell you how grateful I was to the church and how wonderful it was to have a key to a space that was mine again. After we were all safe, about a month after everything was fine and we were safe and we had a place to be, my first piece of art that I made after that was a picture of myself holding my dogs and listening. And the title was called Listening for the Motors. And this is what you spend a lot of time doing when you are flooded in a house. the way the church reached out and helped us out. I just feel part of the St. Stephen's family here. And very grateful to be part of the St. Stephen's family.
As you can see from these poignant stories, Harvey had a deep personal impact on many Houstonians as well as the people at the St. Stephen's community. Whether it affected us individually and personally, Harvey left a wake on our whole city and region as we consider what the impact of climate change will be on our community and future floodwaters that will come our way. Harvey gives us an invitation to rise to this occasion to care.